warm welcome to all the viewers for the course Strength of Materials AME 302. Myself Thiyapal, Assistant Professor of Department of Mechanical Engineering, JIS College of Engineering, and today in this particular lecture I am going to discuss about the stresses that basically occur for thick cylinder. Well, this is the content of module 6 and already I have talked about the pressure vessels as well for the cylindrical form, or it can be spherical, sphere, any type of things we have already discussed in my previous lecture about the thin cylinder. But today's lecture will basically cover up the thing that are being considered for thick cylinder. As you all of us know that if I consider a cylinder, it can be a cylindrical shape, it can be spherical shape, whatever may be, but the fluid that is present inside that particular cylinder will exert some sort of pressure, and when it is exerting some sort of pressure, then basically the tensile stress occur on the thick wall of that particular cylinder. So in the same manner we will be also observing that the stresses that basically occur for the thick cylinder are similar to that of hoop stress, which is also known as circumferential stress. Again, you can talk about the longitudinal stress as well as the radial stress. So as we know that for thin cylinder case that the radial stress value we used to consider as to be 0, because the value, or you can say the magnitude of the radial stress is so small as comparative to that circumferential stress, as well as for longitudinal stress its value is so less that we have to neglect that particular data. Well, just I would like to say that in this particular lecture we are going to consider the stresses that are just like hoop stress, circumferential stress, I mean to say again longitudinal stress, radial stress, all will be covering up, but with respect to thick cylinder. So before we proceed with the content on the lecture, let's have a look at the content. So you can see in the content initially we will be starting with analysis of thick cylinder, and then we will be discussing about the stresses that has been involved in thick cylinder, that is longitudinal stress, hoop stress and radial stress. So basically we are going to cover up in this particular lecture about the longitudinal stress and hoop stress, and we are going to discuss about the analysis of thick cylinder, and we are going to talk about the stresses in thick cylinder too. And the lecture for pressure vessels for thick cylinder part 2, it will be covered with the analysis of stresses as well as analysis for thick sphere also. So these are the basic content that we are going to cover up today in this particular lecture. So when we are talking about the analysis of a thick cylinder, so there is some sort of assumptions, and the most important thing is that analysis of thick cylinder is basically done according to Lamè's theorem. And this Lamè's theorem is based on certain assumptions. So if I consider the assumption, then let's have a look at the first assumption, that is material is homogeneous and isotropic, in which Hooke's law is valid. So if I talk about the Lamè's theorem, the first assumption that has to be considered for this particular theory, that is material is homogeneous. That means the material or the object that you have selected for the cylinder, it should be of same material. That means the material has to be homogeneous and it has to be isotropic, and it should obey the Hooke's law also. So for this particular thing, Hooke's law, which I have already discussed in my first lecture for strength of materials, there I have told that Hooke's law is none other than where it states that stress is proportional to strain within elastic limit. So you all are aware of the stress, that means load per unit area, and strain, that is change in length by original length. So the first assumption that has been considered for this particular case, it is material has to be homogeneous, it has to be isotropic, and it also should obey the Hooke's law within the elastic limit. Now let's have a look for the second assumption. In the second assumption, it has been already mentioned that the plane section perpendicular to longitudinal axis remain plane after the fluid pressure is applied. So what it has been told, that the plane section that we are considering, it has to be perpendicular to the longitudinal axis and it should remain plane after the fluid pressure is applied also. So whatever may be the fluid pressure that has been applied there, the longitudinal axis should remain plane. It should not get changed with the implementation of fluid pressure. So this is also another assumption. It means that there should be no bending. That means bending means no longitudinal strain is required. That means the longitudinal strain has to be constant. Now longitudinal strain, the definition of longitudinal strain is change in length by its original length. So change in length by its original length means del L by L. The del L is denoted by change in length and small l, it is represented by your original length. And finally the third assumption, it states that the material is stresses within elastic limit and each fiber of material is free to contract and expand individually too. So what I was telling, that is the material is stresses. The material can be stresses and that should be within elastic limit, because as I have already told that Lamè's theory basically consider that the material should be homogeneous, it should be isentropic, and it also should follow Hooke's law. And the main basic concept of Hooke's law is, it always states that stress is proportional to strain within the elastic limit. And that's why here also the third assumption is basically determining or defining that the material stresses must be within elastic limit and each fibers of material is free to contract and expand individually. So again I am telling here, each fiber of material is totally free to contract and expand individually too. So if I come to summarization, that what analysis we have observed or we have maintained for thick cylinder, then first and foremost thing is that it always works on Lamè's theorem, and this Lamè theorem is based on certain assumption, and as per the assumption, the first thing it has been told that material, it has to be homogeneous and it has to be isotropic and it should obey Hooke's law, and Hooke's law always determine that stress must be proportional to strain within elastic limit. And second thing, it has been told that the plane that you are selecting, it should be perpendicular to its longitudinal axis and it should remain plane after the fluid pressure has been implemented. That means there should be no bending in that particular cylinder, in that particular thick cylinder. If no bending is occurring, that means the longitudinal strain has to be constant. And the third thing that it has been told, that is the material is stresses within elastic limit and each fiber of the material must be free to contract as well as to expand individually. Now let's have a look in the next slide. Now we are coming to the topic, that is stresses in thick cylinder. So initially we are talking about longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress, it is also considered to be tensile in nature. So the stress that is occurring for longitudinal stress, is basically tensile in nature. And the most important thing is that if you look at this particular thick cylinder, you can see we have considered it through longitudinal way, and the most important thing is that longitudinal stress are basically uniform across the thickness. So whatever may be the thickness, the longitudinal stress that has been observed or it has been noted, it is constant or it is uniform all throughout the cross section across the thickness too. So this is your cylinder, and you can see this is the basically longitudinal stress which has been determined by sigma L, and you can see this is the pressure that has been provided, and this pressure is basically tensile in nature. Now we are talking for hoop stresses, or it is also known as circumferential stresses, and you can see that this is also tensile in nature. So hoop stress are considered to be maximum at internal face or inner face than the outer face. So as you can see, this is your inner face and this is the outer face. So this is your radius Ri, this is Ri means this is your inner radius, and this is your R0, that means this is your outer radius, and you can see the stress that has been occurred here, that is the hoop stresses or circumferential stresses, which is considered to be a tensile stress, and you can see this is day by day getting increased. You can see this is minimum. You can observe the hoop stress or circumferential stress minimum at the outer surface, but you can see maximum at the inner surface. That has been mentioned here, that maximum it is in the inner face and minimum at the outer face, and the variation of the hoop stress is always hyperbolic in nature. You can see the curve, it is hyperbolic in nature. Next we are talking about the radial stress. So what has been told that radial stress are basically compressive in nature. So if you go for the previous slide, then we have already seen that whenever we are discussing about the circumferential stress, or we are discussing about the hoop stress, or even we are discussing about the longitudinal stress, basically they are tensile stress. But radial stress is always compressive in nature. So radial stress are maximum at the inner face and 0 at the outer face. So you can see from this particular figure, Ri, this is your inner radius, R0, this is your outer radius, and you can see this has been considered to be a thick cylinder, and from center you can see the radius, inner radius has been shown to you, and there you can see the outer radius, that is your R0, and you can see that the maximum stress is observed is your at the inner portion, and gradually when you go towards the outer surface, in this outer surface you can see the basically it is your atmospheric pressure involvement is there, and you can see the pressure is considered to be 0. So outer surface is projected to your atmospheric pressure, and the value for outer surface is considered to be 0, but the radial stress is obtained maximum at inner surfaces. So if I come to consideration about the various stresses that I have discussed so far, then you have always noticed that if I talk about the hoop stress, or if I talk about the circumferential stress, I mean to say hoop stress is also known as circumferential stress. So in this particular matter, the most important thing that has been observed, that is the stress is basically tensile in nature, and you have seen that at the inner surface the stress is maximum, and as you go towards the outer section you are getting the minimum. But obviously for circumferential stress or hoop stress, the outer stress that you are obtaining, it is not basically zero. So you can obtain the maximum stress at the inner face and you can get the minimum stress at the outer face for hoop stress or circumferential stress. But if I talk about the longitudinal, the same thing has been observed and that has been considered that it is basically for longitudinal stress, you have seen that the maximum stress has been observed at the inner surface and the minimum stress has been obtained at the outer surface, and you have noticed that the stress diagram is basically hyperbolic in nature, and you have seen how the stress is varying from the inner to outer thickness of the cylinder. Now if I talk about the radial stress, it is little bit different from the others. That is, if I consider the radial stress, it is compressive in nature, and in this particular case, that is for thick cylinder, you can notice that the radial stress is maximum at your inner surface, but as it is going towards the outer surface, the radial stress is getting decreased to zero, because outer surface is directly projected to the atmospheric pressure, and at that particular point it has been considered as zero. But if I talk about the radial stress for thin cylinder, then I must say, I have already told you that the magnitude value of the radial stress is so less as compared to the circumferential or hoop stress and longitudinal stress. That's why it has been considered to be as zero. But in case of radial stress for thick cylinder, at least we can consider the maximum value that has been obtained in the inner surface of this thick cylinder. But yes, gradually it is getting decreased, and as you move towards the outer surface of the thick cylinder, the radial stress becomes zero as it is projected to atmospheric pressure. Now let's move to the next slide. Now we are going to have a look for analysis of stresses. So this is your longitudinal stress. So longitudinal stress means, you can see this is a cylinder we have considered, and this is basically your thick cylinder, and you can see this is the pressure that has been ejected by the inner fluid, and you can see it is basically tensile in nature. So it is giving you this type of load or pressure in the thick cylinder wall, and what it has been told, and that if I see the front view of this particular cylinder, you can see this is the inner circle diameter and this is the outer circle diameter. So let's consider R1 as inner radius and R0 as outer radius. So what it has been told, that Ri is the internal pressure, R0 is the external radius of that particular cylinder. Now if you have a look here, that is the bursting force, that is to be considered as Fb. So if I talk about the force, what do you mean by force? That is load into the unit area you are considering. So if I consider this to be a cylinder with the inner radius as Ri, then I must say bursting force is equal to P into pi Ri square, that is the inner radius of this particular cylinder that has been considered as Ri, and the area is pi Ri square, and force means pressure into area. So now I am talking about the resisting force. That means what is the force that is required or that is resisted by that particular thick cylinder. So if I talk about the resisting force, then the thing is that you have considered, that is sigma L, that is your longitudinal stress, into pi into this R square of which one? Outer radius minus inner radius square. And I have already told you that if the body is in equilibrium, then the bursting force has to be equal to your resulting force, and that only is the main basic concept for this stress calculation. It is same for the thin cylinder also, it is same for the thick cylinder also. Only the difference is while we are calculating the area and nothing more than that. So again I am repeating that if you need to calculate the longitudinal stress for thick cylinder, the same concept you have to implement, that is initially you have to have a look, that is what is bursting force and what is the resisting force. So bursting force means that when the liquid is exerting a pressure over the inner thickness of that particular wall. So whenever the inner portion you are just exerting some sort of pressure, in most of the cases if it exceeds the permissible load or permissible pressure, then it has got a tendency to split into two parts, or it can split into a trough also. So bursting force is considered to be as Fb, and it is also noted in this way, that is P into pi Ri square. But if I talk about the resisting force, that means when a force is ejected over the wall or the inner wall of that particular cylinder, it has got some resistance power also to resist that particular force, and this resisting force is represented by Fr, which is also told as sigma L into pi into R0 square minus Ri square. So this resulting force is what? This resulting force is none other than your resistivity to protect the cylinder so that it may not get break or split into two parts. And if the body is in equilibrium, then the same concept that has been implemented, that is resulting force is equal to your bursting force. And you can see in this particular equation that only I have mentioned, that is if it is in equilibrium, the resisting force must be equal to your bursting force. And you can see it is represented by sigma L pi R0 square minus Ri square, that is inner radius square minus, outer radius square minus inner radius square, that is equal to P into pi into inner radius square. So if you want to get the final formula for longitudinal stress, then it is, so this is the longitudinal stress, which is represented by P into inner radius square by outer radius square minus inner radius square. So this is the same way you have calculated earlier how to calculate the longitudinal stress for thin cylinder, that is resisting force is equal to your bursting force. And here also for thick cylinder also same concept, only the equation has been solved and you have got a different value for it. Now we have talking about the hoop stress. So for hoop stress and radial stress, the most important thing is that it is basically given by Lami's equation, and I have already told that Lami's equation has to be followed by certain rules and regulations, like certain assumption, that is the material has to be homogeneous and isotropic, and it should follow the Hooke's law within elastic limit. And the thing is that the longitudinal stress, strain must be constant, and whenever you are providing any sort of pressure, there must not be any bending there. That means longitudinal strain must be constant. So now if you consider this particular element, that is this is your thick cylinder, and you can see the inner radius as Ri and the outer radius as your R0, and you have considered a dotted line here, that is we have considered a strip at a distance of x, So just you consider an elementary ring at a radial distance of x from the center of the section as it has been shown in the figure. So if you talk about this particular formula, that is sigma x is equal to b by x square plus a. where A and B are basically constant, and this is due to internal fluid pressure, that is the hoop stress are tensile in nature, and for external fluid pressure hoop stress are compressive in nature. So when you are considering the hoop stress for the internal fluid, it is basically tensile in nature, but if you consider for external fluid, then you have to be very careful that this particular hoop stress are compressive in nature. So this point has to be remembered. Again I am repeating, if the hoop stress it is due to internal pressure, then it is tensile in nature, and if hoop stress is due to external fluid pressure, then it is compressive in nature. And if I talk about the radial stress, then radial stress has been denoted by the radial pressure. Then you can say that rho x is equal to B by x square minus A, and the radial stress is compressive in nature. And you know, radial stress are always compressive in nature for both the internal as well as for the external fluid pressure also. But where A and B are constant, for the internal fluid both A, B are taken as positive, and for external fluid pressure both A, B are taken as negative. So you can see A and B are basically constant, but radial stress are always compressive for both internal and external fluid pressure, where A and B are basically constant. But for internal fluid pressure, both A and B are taken positive, and for external fluid pressure both A and B has been taken negative. So you can see from this particular chart, that is constant A and constant B. For internal pressure this is positive, this is positive, and for external pressure this is negative, this is negative. So you can see that has been considered for this particular analysis. Now how you are going to determine the value for A and B? So constant A and B can be determined by using the end condition for radial stress. So what you have to do is that you have considered rho x, that is B by x square minus A, and at x, when you are considering the distance x is equal to inner radius, your density for x is equal to the pressure. But when you are considering x is equal to outer radius, that means it is coming in contact with the atmospheric pressure, the density has been considered to be 0. Now for x, when it is to inner radius and you are following the Lami's equation, then I must say P is equal to B by R1 square minus A. But if you are considering x is equal to outer radius, then Lami's equation, it becomes 0 because the density value is getting 0. So 0 is equal to B by outer radius square minus A. Now if you solve the equation 1 and 2, then you are getting the equation, that is B by Ri square minus B by R0 square, it is equal to P. So just have a look in this equation. You are getting this equation from equation 1 and from equation 2. As you solve this one, you get the value for constant B, which has been written as B is equal to P into inner radius square into outer radius square by outer radius square minus inner radius square. And if you put the value of B in this equation 2, this B, you have already got the value for B. Okay, now put the value for B in equation this 2. Put the value for this in equation 2 and you will get the finally the value for A. So the value for A, what it has been told, that is P into Ri square by radius, outer radius square minus inner radius square, that is equal to R inner radius square by outer radius square minus inner radius square. So here you are able to calculate how you are getting the value for A and B. Now if you have a look here, that is sigma x minus your rho x. So you know the value for rho x and you know the value for sigma x also. So when you put the value and you calculate these two terms, you get sigma x minus rho x, that is equal to your 2a. So if you go for this equation, you will get sigma is none other than rho x plus 2a. So if you want to obtain the maximum hoop stress, then you have to remember that is sigma max is equal to 2a plus rho x maximum, and rho x maximum occurs at the inner face and it is equal to your P. So this pressure that you can obtain maximum, it is none other than P, that is the pressure that is exerted by the fluid. And if you want to obtain maximum stress, then you are getting 2a plus P. But if you want to get the minimum hoop stress, then you have to find the value for sigma minimum, that is, if you want to get sigma minimum, then it is your 2a plus pressure should be minimum also. So P is your minimum that occurs at the outer surface, and in most of the cases it sometimes is equal to 0. Most of the cases not, it is equal to 0 if your x is considered to be as R0, that is the outer radius. So finally we have came to the conclusion, and we have already discussed about the longitudinal stress for thick cylinder, and we have also calculated how to calculate or determine the value for A and B, which are basically both are the constant. So hope you have understood the thing from this particular lecture. In the next lecture of this part for thick cylinder, we are going to discuss about the relationship between the radial stress as well as for the hoop stress, and so and so. So please stay connected with me. If you have liked the video, then please subscribe the channel and please stay connected so that in the upcoming video you can get more details about this particular content. Thank you viewers for watching the video. Thank you very much.